something sort of more personal. But at the time, I was dating a young lady who was in New York, and this poor girl really had a bad time with me, because I would come back at home with Polaroids of every store from 57th Street to 72nd Street. I had shot every store, every corner of every boutique, thinking that one boutique maybe would be an opportunity for me. So I had a real estate agent, I had all the things in her house, and I said, I'm going to find a place, on Madison. Fortunately, as you know, the real estate then was millions of dollars, and I couldn't afford it. So, go to Bergdorf Goodman with a book, and I went to Bergdorf. It's how, life is. You always have to look up. You never have to go down to anyone, because it will come back to you somewhere. Yeah. So I was very lucky, because, I went to Bergdorf, and I had a book of my sketches then, thinking my father would deliver everything as sketch. And I went to Bergdorf, and they said, thank you very much. Why don't you go on the second floor? There is a third department. At the time it was Fendi, with someone there that was running it. And he looked at me and he said, no, thank you. So I left. So I was sort of kicked out to all the opportunities. I didn't have Madison Avenue. It was literally 4 days or 5 days before I had to go back to Paris.
So you're just really very furry, just on the sketches and stuff.
Sketches, thinking that I would go there and everything would be cool. It was not cool. What was really cool is that the last 4 days, I go to downtown, and on 30th Street in those days, in the early 80s, it was fabulous. Because it was still, there was really a fur district, and you had rats passing by with all the pelts in the yard. There was like those Jewish little restaurants every corner that were serving the white smoked white fish and the Polish lady in the corner. It was really very, very special. And I went to this restaurant called Traders, which was this kind of Jewish saloon. You go in and the gefilte fish and the pastrami sandwich were flying around. And I sat down 4 days with a person who used to buy the pearls for my father. And I was telling my story and saying, sadly, that I have to go back to New York. And while I was talking, a gentleman passed by in the fur business and listened to the story I was presented and said, by the way, I know there are like a couple of, on Fifth Avenue at Elizabeth Arden, they are selling fashion, but I don't think they're doing really well, and you should go and call so-and-so. And this is really an American story, because I called the so-and-so, and I got to meet directly the president at the time, Joe Roncelli, the president of Elizabeth Arden, and honestly, within one conversation, we connected so well. But the guy says to me, shake hand, he says, okay, we'll check out your store in Paris, but if you want, on a commission basis, you could move in, and you'll have a place in New York. I mean, literally, I called my dad, I said, Dad, our name is on Fifth Avenue, we're giving 20% on sales, that's what we have to do, no rent, and I moved in. And literally, Arden at the time had 13 locations all over America.
This was what, 85?
82, 83. So, I moved in with my trunk cases. My father made the first collection with me, basically through my sketches. And, I traveled the country. And that's really how I somehow got to know America and the customers. And, my experience came from there.
And so, tell us when you moved to Madison Avenue. Finally got that.
It's not only that. It was, being on Madison Avenue, it was at the time, the heart, and still today, all our consumers live in that area. We were like, I was a sort of I am on Madison, a neighborhood kind of store, where you really deal with people around that live around this area, and you serve them, and it's a very, very personal little boutique, and very special boutique. So, the ready-to-wear was really instantly the moment, basically, what I discovered really, what gave me the incentive to do ready-to-wear was really the fact that, my God, you put, a little dress in the window. I remember I did a dress and a coat, to match. And the next day, a little celebrity or a social girl who lives in the area would come in and buy it. And it was instant gratification, instant also recognition. People would say, oh my God, there was somehow, it was electric. The whole thing became very quickly much bigger than I expected. Bergdorf Goodman, who, we were sort of playing and flirting, but not really there. Suddenly, we became a big partner because they saw that there was a reality behind. It was really a demand, that there was really a designer behind the brand, and that the product was really great. So it became sort of, the Madison Avenue became really the energy that brought me to 2002. when I decided to present for my first ready-to-wear collection.
And